From the disappointing turn of events in Jon Snow's story, to the super sad and tragic ending to Khal Drogo's character, here's a list of all the characters in Game of Thrones that were completely ruined. Let's start off with Tyrion Lannister. After he killed his father, the show never quite knew how to fit him into the bigger story, or what drove him beyond finding Daenerys. If he was at the top of his game and counseling Daenerys, they would have taken King's Landing quickly and without any trouble. But unfortunately, Tyrion's brain slipped out of his ear sometime between season 7 and 8. To be honest, it felt as if one of the most important and sharpest characters in GOT did nothing good, offered bad plans, and in the end, he became the screenwriter's mouthpiece to forward a plot that made no sense. Given what we know about him, he had no reason to want Dany to die. And doesn't this remind you of what they did with Varys? His betraying Daenerys for Jon is still one of the worst things the creators did in season 8. The Spider and Master of Whispers noticed Dany's understandable anger and decided right away that she was going crazy. But what fans didn't understand was why his trick didn't exhibit any of the cunning he had shown before. All of it just felt very rushed. His best friend Tyrion told on him, and he didn't lie when he got caught, right? But, you know, simply the fact that Conleth Hill threw aside his script during the table read pretty much says it all. Still, at least it wasn't as bad as what they did with Barristan Selmy. Although, it's funny how his character's still alive and well in the books, even if this was more of a case of done wrong than ruined. In fact, it's strange and sad that one of the best soldiers in the Seven Kingdoms was killed in a fight in an alley that didn't affect the story much afterward. And this is especially true given Barristan had a long history and was a main figure in the 5th book. Even McElhenney was sad that Barristan's death wasn't very exciting. Speaking of disappointments, let's talk about the character with the most wasted potential. I'm talking about Jon Snow, of course, hands down the most popular character of the show, and for good reason. He was the hero, an outsider, and a leader with a lot of heart. But let's just say, fans were a little let down towards the end of his turn. They watched him as someone who was always looked down on for being a bastard son, who grew into a strong leader and hero for the people of Westeros. And after everything he'd been through, including killing Daenerys, everyone thought he'd take the throne. Instead, he not only turned down the throne, but he also left his family and went off as a wildling. At that point, all of it just seemed to go out the window. But what confused me even more was when we didn't know where Jaime Lannister stood. He's a bad guy in GOT for a bunch of reasons, including forcing Bran out of the tower, killing his cousin, and doing many other terrible things. But like many other characters, he grows and changes over the course of the series. In fact, he even has a big path to redemption. He leaves Cersei to fight on the right side of history and starts working with the good and admirable Brienne of Tarth. Then, when he hurries back to Cersei, he loses all of his progress in an instant. He changed and became a cherished character, but in the end, he just ran back to his sister's embrace. And just like him, another premature character development was of Robb Stark. In the books, he was a purposeful twist on the King Arthur story, a boy who was put in charge of a crown when he was too young and didn't have the experience to do it well. His mother, Catelyn, planned his moves on the battlefield and in politics since he was too young to know better. They did fight because she set Jaime free, but Robb eventually forgave her and realized what she'd done. He was killed not because he married for love, but because he was too much like his father. He stuck to his sense of honor and married a girl he slept with, instead of leaving her alone. Robb's more selfish than unselfish throughout the series, which makes fans and readers dislike him. Still, during the finale of the book, it's all the more heartbreaking to see his character because of his youth and his honor. Although, I still don't understand what was going on with Euron Greyjoy. The book version and his character on the show are comparable on the surface, but no offense to Pilou Asbæk, Martin's Euron could easily beat the one on HBO. Book Euron plays tricks on everyone around him for pleasure and wants to take over Westeros when he feels like it. But he'd never do what Cersei wants. Even though he's a scary pirate, he's the one who runs things behind the scenes and allows other people to die in battle for him. Other than him, this next character was ruined in just one scene. Yep, I'm talking about Stannis Baratheon. He was really set up to be a fantastic villain and a deadly threat to the other main characters in the series. And when he first shows up on the show, it's clear that he's been working on a plan for a while. He wanted authority so badly that he was even willing to give up his own daughter. And then, when he finally proceeded to seize his crown, everyone thought he wouldn't leave without a big battle. But guess what? That wasn't what they got at all. And as soon as Brienne saw him lying on the ground near death after a fight that wasn't depicted, fans knew that he was ruined as a character. But I should tell you, he wasn't the first or last person to go through something like that, because that's exactly what happened with Khal Drogo. The Dothraki knew that he was a strong leader and a formidable warrior, and even though it was an important part of the show and helped Daenerys come to power, it was a tragic way to kill off such a fierce character. Mago challenged him because he was angry that Daenerys had made fun of their customs, which is what led to his murder. He was so angry that he put the blade against his own skin, causing a flesh wound. This would have been a great display of Drogo's character if Mirri Maz Duur, who detested him, hadn't poisoned it. In the end, this works out well for Daenerys' plot, but it was a terrible way for a brilliantly written character like Drogo to leave the saga. What's more, everyone sorta expected what was gonna happen with this next character. I can't believe that the showrunners meant for Daenerys Targaryen to go crazy, especially because when she took charge before, it was shown as empowering. She wanted to break the pattern of violence in her family. She even made several silly mistakes, and as her life went on, she changed into a more complex person. But this is literally Game of Thrones, where practically all of the characters are full of flaws. Dany probably won't have a happy ending in the books, cause her place in Martin's universe is very crucial and very different. Even if we don't look at the novels and only look at the show, her fate on HBO is still absurd. With more time, it could have made sense, but as it was, she was just another strong lady who had gone crazy. In their haste to finish the show, the showrunners killed the most famous character. Well, this is it, guys. These were all the characters that Game of Thrones completely ruined.